Hey, this is Rabbi Mark Wilds back from MJE Live. Wanted to share an idea from this week's Parsha, the very first Parsha in the Torah, Bereshit, in the beginning. And it's not too long after Adam and Eve are created that their children get into some kind of tiff. So much so that Cain kills his brother Abel in this terrible act of fratricide. And if you remember the reaction, when God comes to Cain and asks him, Hevel achicha, where is Hevel your brother? To which Cain famously responds, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? But what a lot of people forget is that he said something before, am I my brother's keeper? First he says, Lo yadati, I don't know. And then he says, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? Now most of the commentaries read that, I don't know. Maybe God didn't see what I did. Maybe God is not omnipotent. And if he is omnipotent, then am I my brother's keeper? He comes up with this kind of defense. Sort of contradictory defenses. If one doesn't work, I'll try the next. Lo yadati, I don't know. I don't know where he is. What do you mean? I didn't do anything. Oh, and if God saw, am I my brother's keeper who said, then I'm responsible for him. And that's putting the comma in between those two phrases. But if you read it as one phrase, as the great Kliyakar, one of the great commentaries in the Torah does, Lo yodati hashomer achi anochi, I don't know, am I my brother's keeper? What Cain was arguing to God was, there's no legal system, there's no right and wrongs, there's been no Torah given to mankind yet. How am I supposed to know? I don't know. Lo yodati hashomer achi anochi, that I'm responsible for my brother, that I can't do something, take his life, and still somehow be held accountable. Who says murder is wrong? And that's what, according to Kliyakar, Cain was arguing. And of course God came back, according to Kliyakar, and answered, you should know better even without a Torah. Because what's the next verse that God says? Kol demei achicha tzoakim alai min adama. The cries of your brother are crying out from the ground. You're claiming that you don't know what's right and what's wrong. There's no Torah. I created the ground, I created the world, the Kliyakar interprets in such a way that you should be able to naturally intuit that something as basic as murder is wrong. And that is an argument that the Kliyakar makes, that we would know certain things are right and wrong even without a Torah. However, and this is me speaking, we do need a Torah to tell us other things are right and wrong. Maybe murder, maybe theft, respect for other people's personal property. Maybe if you grew up on some island in the middle of nowhere, you would still know that those things are inappropriate behaviors. But a lot of other things are not so obvious, and that's why we need the Torah. Or even, when is it okay to take someone else's life? We believe in self-defense. It is okay to take another person's life to save your own. How do you know that? Can you naturally intuit that? I don't think so. And that's why the Torah is so imperative. Because even though a lot of us will think, what do I need it? I already know what's right and wrong. We might know certain things that are right and wrong, but we may not know a lot of other things. And we might not know when life gets complicated and you have one value going up another, how do you know which value trumps in a given circumstances? That's why Judaism is so important, to have a Torah in our life that tells us what is right and wrong in every given circumstance and situation. So my blessing to each of us as we begin this first Parsha of the Torah is to use the Torah as a guidebook for our lives, because we can figure out some stuff maybe, but certainly not all.